Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration show with attorney Mr. Chat Parvathaneni from Managing Attorney of Sim Parvathaneni and Brown. Please note that Sakshi TV now has three immigration shows every week. On Wednesdays with Mr. Shanti Reddy in English, on Thursday with Chan Parvathaneni, and on Fridays with Banu Nindra. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call us at 866-725-7441. Before we begin the show, please note that the information provided on this show is not legal advice and for gender informational purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for the use of information. If you need any specific legal advice, you can contact the attorney directly. Mr. Chan needs no introduction, but if you need any more information, you can contact your spplawfirm.com site for contact information. When you connect with them, don't forget to mention Sakshi TV. SPPLawfirm.com site has given a wealth of free information and online tools in the hands of immigrant community and for the benefits of US employers. So without any further delay, let's welcome Mr. Chan. Mr. Parvathaneni, I hope you're doing well.
Hello, Shivani, and thank you everybody at Sakshi TV who has tuned in and watching the show today.
Yes. Thank you again for tuning on to our show. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, today we thought we will discuss a little about the H1B lottery updates. Before we get on to that, is there any other immigration updates that was released this week, and that you want to say to the viewers watching the show right now?
Sure. So we have a few updates for students who are in US on F1 visa, and one of the updates we have for students is regarding off-campus employment. And typically, students while they're in college, while they're studying on F1 visa, they're allowed to work on campus for 20 hours a week. So they cannot work outside the campus, but they can work inside the campus, and that's for a max of 20 hours a week. And recently, a few days back, there was a memo on special students relief, and this gives guidance on students under something called special economic hardship criteria. And this guidance, what it does is it helps some students who are impacted and who qualify under economic hardship criteria. It lets them to ask for permission to work off campus because when you go off campus, you have more opportunities outside the university. So this guidance it gives more clarity on who can ask and what kind of timelines one can ask to get off-campus employment. Not everybody qualify, but at least whoever has special economic hardship criteria, they should be able to use this. And
Yes.
the second major update, first again, this is ahead for students. So students typically what happens is whenever they finish their masters or bachelors, they can apply for work authorization. There is something called OPT, and they apply for OPT to start working in the country. And this is a very powerful card, OPT card, because it lets them explore and work in the industry and gain valuable practical training. And recently, just it came out this week, USCIS is letting students who have applied for the EAD card 765 to process their cases in premium. So right now, at least this month, whoever has a pending 765 application, they can use this premium processing. And starting from next month, any student who is applying for this OPT card can use premium processing. This is definitely going to help a lot of students get their OPT cards quickly and start their employment quickly. So it's definitely going to help a lot of F1 students. Last update is H1B registrations for the lottery. They have started and they're going in full swing. And USCIS will release the lottery results at the latest by March 31st or a little bit earlier than that. So definitely before March 31st, all the lottery results will be out. And right now, the H1B registrations are in progress.
Yes. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, are you saying that the H1B lottery has started? And if yes or no, how can somebody register for the H1B lottery?
So previously and historically, so one was required to file the H1B only within the first 5 days. So first 5 days of April. So everybody was busy during the first 5 days of April uh, filing the H1s. And again, starting from 2020, which is pretty recent, they changed their process. And now the process is that somebody has to register with USCIS. It's an electronic registration and kickstart the process. So they don't do the actual filing. They don't actually file the petition, which comes down the line. All they have to do is register online. The initial step. It's a very simple step. And this process has started. It started on March 1st. And the current process is that simply any employer that wishes to hire employees on H1B, they go to the My USCIS website, they register, pay a $10 fee, and get in the queue. And the queue is for the lottery. So right now, people are just registering, and down the line, they will find out whether they're selected or not. And right now, they're just giving some basic passport information and pay a $10 fee.
So, Mr. Parvathaneni, we stopped at how one can register to the H1B lottery. So, can you please continue with the topic?
Sure. So right now, the registration will end on March 17th noon. So people still have time. And if people are still in the process of doing the registrations, there is still ample amount of time. Just make sure you do it well ahead of March 17th, the deadline. And the cost is only $10 for each employee. Employers do have to make sure that there is a bona fide job opportunity, and only the employers or their attorneys, only they can file the registrations. Employees cannot do it themselves. So hopefully everybody is doing the registrations, and March 17th is when the website will stop accepting any new registrations.
Yes. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, how can one employer know that if they have won or lost their H1B registration?
So the registration process will end on March 17th. And until March 17th, USCIS will not do anything. So they will still let people keep on registering. And after March 17th, employers or their representatives, they can log into the My USCIS website. And when they log into the My USCIS website, they will be able to find out the selections. And if somebody has been selected in the lottery, they will see the name, and they will see the status change from submitted to selected. So that is the way of knowing if somebody has been selected in the lottery. So everybody should be looking out for that selection, that change in status in the website. And another thing is, once somebody has been selected in the lottery, which will happen after March 17th and anytime before March 31st, USCIS will issue selection notices electronically, and it's a PDF file that's in the website, and it will be beside their name. And the employers, they can download this document, and this document will tell them how to submit the actual H1B petition. It will tell them where they are supposed to send the H1B petition, and it will also tell them to include the document along with their actual H1B petition. And another thing is, USCIS, it might conduct multiple selection rounds. It might include and issue additional selection notices. Again, it is not guaranteed. Last year, we had only one lottery, so we had only one selection. The year before that, however, we had 3 rounds. So basically, USCIS selected the first round in the month of March, the second round in the month of July, the third round in the month of November. What they're doing this year, we are not sure, but because a lot depends on how many people who are selected actually apply. A lot depends on how many people are not applying. So depending on that, we might have second or third round, but it is not guaranteed. Right now, the first round will be done this month. And once the selections are done, employers just have to go to the website, download their selection notices, and then start filing.
Yes. Now, Mr. Parvathaneni, now that you're seeing a lot of layoffs happening this year, do you see any difference for the people who have filed, and also because of this layoffs, is there a less demand of the H1Bs? What is the situation up with that?
So at least what we are seeing in our law firm, we are not seeing any decrease in any demand for H1B filings this year. There was a talk. I mean, at least in the last 1-2 months, people felt that there were a lot of layoffs, and people did not know what kind of filings will be done this year. But at least in our law firm, we represented over 250 companies last year, filed more than 3,000 cases last year, the entire year. And so we do have a lot of data in our law firm. We do a lot of H1B filings. And this year, at least in the last 10 days, we have crossed a couple of thousands of registrations. We have got the data. We've got the data from the employers who are wanting to file their cases. So we're seeing similar demand as last year. We're actually seeing more demand. And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I saw an article in Times of India, and they were quoting Envoy Global, so another company. So they were quoting a survey from Envoy Global, where even they are seeing a lot of people actually trying to hire H1B employees. Majority of the companies that Envoy Global surveyed, which Times of India quoted, they're all saying that they're expecting the demand to be more than last year. And most of the people who are losing jobs, they're immediately finding jobs. And the companies have been hiring H1B employees. And what that means is the tech industry still has a lot of openings. The IT industry still has a lot of openings. So we do anticipate the demand to be same as last year, or if not more than last year. So we definitely don't see any shrinking in demand. We don't see any lessening in demand. We actually expect to see at least same as last year or more than last year. And what that means is, just like last year, Indians are probably going to be the majority of applicants for the H1B visas. And typically it's around 60% of the H1B visas go to Indians. We expect things to be in similar lines even this year.
Yes. Mr. Parvathaneni, what exactly is a fiscal year of the H1B, and how many fiscal year H1Bs are available this year, especially?
So for USCIS, which is the actual government agency that is tasked with all these immigration filings, the fiscal year, the year starting, it starts from October 1st and then goes through to September 30th of the following year. So what that means is October 1st, 2023, that is the start of the fiscal year. So that is the reason why the H1B filings that are happening right now, they are called as the H1B filings for CAP 2024. The reason they're called CAP 2024 is because the H1B filings are from October 1st. And the fiscal year is 2024 fiscal year that starts from October 1st. So the fiscal year 2024 filings that start from October 1st are the filings that we're currently working on. The H1B lottery that is currently underway, it is for fiscal year 2024. And under the current regulations, so there are 65,000 new H1Bs every fiscal year, along with the 20,000 additional master's cap H1Bs. So overall, there are 85,000 H1Bs under the current fiscal year.
Yes. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, I was saying, are there any exemptions to the fiscal year cap where one can file H1B without going through the lottery system?
So the general rule is that anybody has to apply under the cap filing if it is their first time H1B. So what that means is they have to go through the lottery. So if it is the first time that somebody is trying to get on H1B, they are typically supposed to go through the lottery. However, just as in the legal field, typically there is always an exception. So even for H1B, there is an exception. So there is an exception where somebody can get H1B even without going through the lottery. There are few exceptions. There are few points that are important. Employers, the companies that hire H1B, if they are non-profit research organization, or it's a government research organization, or an institute of higher learning, which means university, or some kind of an affiliated organization. For example, a hospital, which affiliates with a medical university. So these are all considered as exempt organizations. And if those companies, if those places, they are hiring for somebody, they can just hire for somebody on H1B, even without going through the lottery. So they don't really have to go through the lottery. They can just give a job offer for somebody, file a H1B, and get a H1B. So what that means is if somebody who's trying to get on H1B, they try to apply for a job with one of these exempt organizations and try to get a job, they can get H1B visa even without going through the lottery. So for example, say University of California. University of California has a software developer position open. They can just apply for H1B even without going through the lottery. And for example, the medical school, the medical college, they're trying to hire a doctor or maybe a nurse. Because they are exempt, they can hire somebody without going through the lottery. So what that means is, for the people who are looking for H1B visas, there are still a lot of employers out there who are exempt. So those employers, if they get a job offer from those employers, they can just skip the lottery and they can just get on H1B. The only issue is that if they want to transfer their employer, it is not that easy. They cannot transfer to any employer. So there are restrictions on transferring if they go to work for those employers. But in general, that is one way of getting on H1B status if they don't get picked in a lottery.
Yes. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, now that the registration process is going to be happening from March 17, what are some common issues that people are facing right now with the registrations?
So right now it is the registration time. And what that means is employer or their attorney is simply going to a USCIS website. They're entering some data, so entering some basic data, basic passport data. And the common issue we are seeing this year is, in general, is forgetting the passwords from last year, because last year the company registered. Now they don't remember their password. And resetting the password is not a very straightforward process with the portal. So that's one of the most common issues that we are seeing. And what we are telling the employers is, if you're not able to remember your password, you're not able to get the password reset, the easiest solution is create a new account. Just create a new account in My USCIS portal. Just use a new account. The only drawback is you will not see the historical data from the past years. But other than that, you can still use a new account to create your registrations. And the other common issue we hear is the website is not very user-friendly. There is no way to mass upload the data, because the companies, they're doing a lot of filings. Maybe some companies are applying for 5 employees. Maybe another company is applying for 10 employees. And right now the process is somebody has to manually enter the data and go through each screen. So it is a cumbersome process. So there is no easy way to mass upload the data. And that is one of the issues that we are hearing a lot as one of the issues. And another issue that we are seeing is sometimes the website is slow and sometimes people are having a problem with the credit card payments. But in general, if somebody's seeing an issue, we are just asking them to wait for a few minutes, retry. And overall, the site seems to be very stable, and the payments are also stable, and people are able to make payments. And only major issue that I would say is look for duplicates. One employer cannot file for the same employee twice. There is not a good duplicate checker on the website. So somebody has to manually download all the data, look at all your filings, make sure even accidentally somebody is not registered twice. And that is the only thing that people have to be aware of. And if not, registration process seems to be pretty smooth at this moment.
Yes. So, Mr. Parvathaneni, what according to you are some do's and don'ts when they, start the registrations, and how can one increase their chance of getting selected in lottery?
So the main thing is data has to be very accurate, and simple mistakes should not be accidentally be made. That is the most important thing. And what it means is the date formats. So everybody in India, even Indian passport or the way we do things with the date in India, the format is different. We use date as the first part for the Indian passports in general. So what that means is when it goes to the US site, the US portal, the month comes first. So what that means is the format has to be rechecked. If you're simply copying what's in the Indian passport, the format is entirely wrong and the data will be not accurate. So it is very, very important to ensure that the date of birth is extremely accurate, and the passport number. The passport number has to be accurate. If the passport number is wrong, tomorrow USCIS could reject the filing. Even if the filing is selected, they could reject the filing. So one of the main important things is that recheck the passport numbers and do not make any mistake with the passport number. Date of birth, at least what we have seen last year, is that in case of accidental mistakes with the date of birth, if it's a small typographical mistake, USCIS gave some lenience. They have a discretion, they gave some lenience. But passport numbers, extremely important. Another major thing that companies have to check multiple times is their employee identification number. The employer identification number cannot be incorrect. The company has to make sure their employer identification number, which is their unique number, has to match. You make a mistake, there's a good chance that USCIS might reject the filing down the line. And another final mistake that I previously pointed out is multiple registration for the same employer. The same employer cannot file for somebody twice. And typically companies are very, very careful about it, but accidentally, sometimes they include the same person twice. Maybe accidentally they are uploading in two separate lots and they forgot to check it, for example. So that's a very, very fatal mistake. They cannot make that mistake. So by avoiding these fatal mistakes, at least they can make sure their chances in the lottery are same as what everybody is going through, and ensure that they're not wasting their chance. So people still have time until March 17th. So it's a good time to go back and check, even if the registrations are done. People can always delete and re-register if there is any issue, and USCIS will not have any issue as long as the registration with the issue is deleted and then a new entry is made. And this is all done before March 17th.
Yes. For the H1B employees, you keep hearing about these public access files, Mr. Parvathaneni. So can you please explain exactly what are these public access files and how important are they if they are applying for the H1B registrations?
So when a company does H1B filings, one of the most important compliance requirement is to maintain a public access file. So this is something that we hear all the time. Are you maintaining the public access file? And so on. And what the word public access file kind of explains what it is. It is a file that every company has to maintain for their H1B employees. And this is a file that anybody in the public can walk into their office and demand to see it. So anybody, I mean, I can go to some office, and if that company is filing for H1B, I can ask that I want to inspect that file, and the company has to show it. So that is the reason why it is highly important that that file is accurate and always maintained properly, because the company never knows who's going to come and ask for it. Department of Labor might come and ask for it. USCIS can come and ask for it. Or somebody in the public, generally somebody can walk into the office and ask for it. And in general, this document, what it does is, this public access file, it is a record of the LCA. It is a record of the salary that somebody has to pay the H1B employee. So anybody in the public should be able to know if a company is filing for a H1B and the salary or the range of the salary that is being offered to the H1B employee. We cannot hide it, and it has to be shown. And what that means is the LCA copy has to be available if somebody wants to come and see it. And there are also a couple of other requirements. The company is also supposed to give a summary of all the benefits that their employees get. So if somebody comes and says, I want to look at your public access file, that public access file should also have a summary of all the benefits. It should also have a notice of filing. So whether that LCA has been posted in the notice board as required for 10 days or not. So there are a couple of mandatory regulatory things that the company has to maintain. It's a simple file, but from a company perspective, they just have to make sure they maintain it. And any company that files an LCA, it's a mandatory requirement. And it doesn't mean that they have to maintain confidential information, things like payroll information, their SSN, and other sensitive information. They don't have to be in that public access file. But by regulation, there are certain things. And what that means is every company should do an internal audit, and they should make sure this file is up to date.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Parvathaneni, for tuning on to our show. We did cover a very important topic. Thank you for the viewers for tuning in. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Shivani Raj.
Thank you.